I'm very tired. It's 6:15 in the AM, and I'm gonna record a video. So, in my freshman year of high school, freshman and sophomore years of high school, I kind of, this was like when I was starting to have aspirations of wanting to be a voice actor. And, you know, I had the idea in my head that, like, oh, I'd like to perform, you know, I want to create something and put it into the world and jack myself off, and people be like, wow, that's such a cool work of art. Not that, actually. I figured, you know, the best way that I could get into that, you know, area of, you know, a good way to warm myself up to really genuinely starting on that kind of career, would be to go to a drama class, because obviously. So, I went in, and everybody was kind of nervous because it was a freshman drama class, obviously. There were a couple of upperclassmen in there that were kind of as like half teacher assistants, half like advanced drama students, because time blocks, and, you know, nobody wants to do drama anymore because fuck high school drama. Like, if you want acting classes, don't take it in high school. High school drama sucks, for reasons I'm going to tell you now. Most of drama was acting games, and, you know, it wasn't really we would work, or, you know, we would study something. Occasionally we'd like have a monologue that we had to perform, but we gotta like pick it out of a bunch of monologues, and you know, we had to perform in front of class, blah 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 blah. It was games. It was fun and games, and it was stupid and not actually acting lessons. It was like improv. It was an improv class. Fucking stupid. And from the very beginning, I kind of noticed that the teacher didn't really like me. She was, well, first of all, let's talk about the teacher. The teacher, she didn't like it when we called her Mrs. last name. I'm not going to mention names because, I don't know, privacy. I don't know how you would ever find her, but that seems to be the common practice, is to make up pseudonyms. So we're going to call her Clark, Miss Clark. But Miss Clark didn't like it when we called her Miss Clark. So she had us call her by her first name, which was Paige. Sure. So Paige was like 55. No, 60. No, 55. The point is, she was that kind of older person, not necessarily old yet, but more mature person who is desperately trying to be young still. And that, I think, was really, really well showcased by the fact that she didn't like it when we called her Miss Clark. Notice the miss, by the way. So on the very first day, as soon as kids were acting up, and I'm assuming that she had this, like, little speech lined up for, like, as soon as possible, and she just took whatever opportunity she could do, or she could take to you know, take the opportunity. But it was like, she was like, okay, listen up. I'm not a teacher. I'm an actor. And if that's not the most bullshit thing you've ever fucking heard in your life, that's because, well, it should be, because it fucking is. If you're not a teacher, then why the fuck are you teaching here? She went on this long spiel about how her dad was a playwright, and she was like, oh yeah, he wrote this and this and this. He wrote fucking In the Shadow of the Laundry Basket Maiden's fucking shadow or something, and nobody knew what it was. And she was like, yeah, it's a pretty big deal. I'm the actor daughter of a very famous playwright. Luckily, she never forced us to do any of her father's work, because that would have been really awkward for everybody involved, I think. Anyway, like I said, she didn't really like me, and I think that's because I wanted to stand out and be unique and be an individual. I wasn't like being a shitty kid, but I was trying to, you know, go outside the box, think outside the box for the shitty improv games that we were playing. But the thing that they don't tell you about drama class is you have to think outside the box, but then outside the box, there's another box that they don't tell you about that you have to stay inside of. Like, you know, cross the line, but don't cross this line. This line is kind of smaller. It's a little bit more shallow. Just please don't cross it. Thank you. And if you do, I'll get fucking mad at you. And since all the students like me for some reason, everybody will hate you. And that's exactly what happened to me. I don't remember exactly when it started, but it started in the ways that I tried to be more unique with my approaches to her stupid, dumb, idiot improv games. So, like, Paige would be like, okay, everybody stand in a circle here, blah, blah, blah. She didn't actually talk that like that. She was like, okay, everybody stand in a circle here, okay? And so we stood in a circle, and then she was like, okay, we're gonna play yes and, or whatever. And it was like just like an improv thing where it's like, she gets two people, and they have to act out a scene, totally improvised, and you're not allowed to say no, you're supposed to say yes and, you know, because fucking improv. And so, when it was my turn to go, you know, I wanted to, all the other people were doing doing like, oh yeah, we're like, oh, we're in a sinking boat, or like, oh, I'm fucking, it's Halloween, and I thought you were a monster. I mean, I thought you were a kid in a suit, but you're actually a monster. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll do something, because nobody's really messed with age, you know, they've just been, you know, different characters, so I'm gonna try to be I'm an old woman, all right? So I was like a little old lady, right? And, I was sitting down, and then the girl came up to me, and she was like, sir, excuse me, you're in the middle of a frozen pond, whoa, wacky improv. And I was like, I'm an old lady. You know, and I wasn't trying to say, like, no, that's not my character, this is my character. I was trying to make a joke about how they fucking misinterpreted me, and the joke was that I looked like an old man, but I was an old lady. And then she was like, no, you have to say yes, and, okay, you're done. And, like, my partner was, like, mad at me, even though I didn't technically break the rules? Like, what the fuck, dude? So that kind of set the mood. At that point, the whole class was kind of like, oh, well, Joe is kind of fucking breaks the rules. Ooh. Even though I was playing along, I was just doing it a little bit off, you know? I wasn't, like, talking during class. I wasn't being sassy. I wasn't doing what the teacher told me not to do. I was just trying to be a funny boy. The next time, I think it was like later on in this freshman year, and we were doing, this game, and it was like, using only your actions, you have to put across, fucking, an emotion, you know? You have to put across a certain feeling. And so, you know, the first person, Paige, she went first, and then she acted out, like, rage or whatever. And then she said an emotion, and then the next person in the circle, blah, 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 and then he had to go. And then it went around to me, and the person said hunky-dory. What the fuck does that mean, dude? That's not even an emotion. That's just like a state of being for a physical object. So I did what I could. So I, like, you know, I did the thing. I was like, oh, all right, yeah. I made that kind of face, you know. And I was like, I wasn't saying anything. I wasn't saying like, yeah, all right. I was just like, and kind of like nodding, like, you know, like, oh, I'm not really super happy about this, but, you know, this is fine, because that's all I can imagine for hunky-dory, because hunky-dory is not a fucking emotion. And when I made the noises, Clara was like, okay, well, that was fine, but you weren't supposed to say anything. And I was like, I didn't say anything, of course, to her, but in my mind I was just like, oh, I didn't fucking say anything. And I don't think she cared, but I don't think she cared that I didn't actually say anything. So I felt, you know, if I were to defend myself, she would get defensive, because that's just the kind of teacher she was. The last major fuck up, stupid, dumbass improv game that really fucked was this one game, right, where the first person to go up was Paige, and she usually did like explain games by going first, and like so what she did, we got in a circle on stage, and she like ushered one kid up from the circle and was like, "This is my pet elephant." And then the kid had to pretend to be like a little elephant walking around and shit. I shouldn't have said that, because I was elephant. So I'm just pretend I said, "This is my pet meerkat." Right? Okay, so she had to pretend to be a meerkat. And then she was like, "Oh yeah, she knows tricks. She can roll over, blah blah blah." And you know, the student had to act out those things like, "Oh yeah, I'm your slave. I'll do whatever you want because I want to suck your dick that you don't have. I want you to refer me to people." Even though she said she wouldn't. But I know for a fact that she probably fucking did. I'm just realizing this now. She probably just said at the beginning of sophomore year, which is when, you know, it was advanced drama, and that's when people were starting to get filtered out because, you know, it was less of a casual class. She said, like, okay, well, I'm not going to refer anybody, so don't try to get a reference. And I know for a fact, now that I'm thinking about it, that was probably a fucking bold-faced lie to, like, make people feel bad and, like, making them feel like it's going to be harder than it's harder than it has to be, you know, just because she's fucking terrible. And so, anyway, back to the animal game. When it was my turn to be an animal, she was like, "Okay, everybody, this is Joe, my pet elephant," and it wasn't the teacher; it was another student. And so I fucking got on my you know, hands and knees, and I put one arm up to like my nose, and that was like my trunk, right? And God, I'm thinking about this, and it's just so embarrassing. Because, okay, at this point, all the other students were like, "We don't like Chase. We're the hive mind. We like the teacher, but we don't like Chase. Fuck Chase." And so everything that I did was kind of, nobody laughed, and everybody was laughing before, but nobody laughed, fucking, it was just embarrassing. And then she, like, insulted me at one point, and she was like, oh yeah, he's not that smart. And then I didn't want to be offended, but I was just like, because, that's the sound an elephants make. And then Paige was like, oh, so your elephant can understand English? And then, like, my partner, again, looked down at me, like, Chase, what are you doing? Like, what the fuck? You just insulted me, and instead of getting angry, I'm playing it off as part of the improv. You degenerate! It was terrible, and my pants were falling down because I wore jeans that were too tight. That's not related, but I don't like wearing jeans because they're usually too tight and you can see my butt, and I don't like that. Anyway, when it was my turn to go, I was thinking, like, okay, what have other people done, The craziest were, like, okay, pet worm, pet velociraptor, and so I was like, okay, so it doesn't have to be a traditional pet. And so I was like, I called my friend James up because I knew if I picked anybody fucking else, they would have been like, oh, damn it, I have to be Chase's partner. And James, mind you, he was a nice guy, but I don't think he really thought of me as a friend. I think he just thought of me as, that one annoying kid, but I don't want to be mean to him because I'm a good person, I think. Anyway, I called him up and I was like, okay, everybody, this is James, my pet frat boy. And I thought that was hilarious because it fucking is. And James was, like, confused for a second, but then he went along with it, and he was like, woo, woo, yeah! And he was like, toga, toga, and he, like, running around the stage and shit, and he was playing it up. Love you, James. Keep it up. I haven't talked to you in, like, 5 years, but keep it up. And, so James was playing along, even though he seemed, like, a little bit uncomfortable, but, fucking... I was telling everybody about my pet frat boy, and then the teacher was like, yeah, well, do you have a real animal? And I was like, oh, fucking god. And I thought about it for a second, and I was like, well, this is my pet, this is my pet frat boy. And she was like, okay, well, do you have an animal though? And I was like, well, he's a party animal. And I thought that was hilarious at the time, and I still think it's hilarious at this time because it fucking is hilarious. And the teacher saw that I had a fucking vision, and she was like, I have to crush this child's dreams before they pupate into something that could actually be successful in his life. And she knew that I was better than her, and she felt threatened because of my funny frat boy party animal joke. And I fucking hate her. Anyway, I conceded in defeat, and I took off James's hat, which was a Seahawks hat because it was in Washington. And I was like, this was kind of like my act of defiance, and I was like, this is my pet frat boy's pet hawk. It's dead. It doesn't do anything. Of course, I wasn't as somber at the time, but that's probably how I would have delivered it if I was a little bit more of a free thinker who didn't want to embarrass himself even more in the middle of the class that already disliked him. Because for some reason, they always like the drama teacher, even if the drama teacher is fucking terrible and mean, and I hate her. I don't hate her. I just really fucking dislike her. Anyway, that was about like halfway through the first semester of sophomore year, and James had been telling me like, oh yeah, I didn't know if I was gonna go, for another year at the end of freshman year, or like at the beginning of sophomore year, and he was like, I didn't know if I was gonna go another year in drama, but I talked to Paige about it, and she said that the class just wouldn't be the same without me. And so, I took that as, okay, so James tried to leave the class, and Paige tried to cheer him on. Cool. But later on, halfway through the first semester, I was like, okay, I'm kind of fucking done with this, and I hate this class, and I hate this teacher. And so I went up to Paige, and I was like, hey, I think I'm going to resign from this class. And she was like, okay. She didn't even fucking care. She did not care. She didn't try to stop me. She wasn't like, are you sure? You've been in my class for so long. And she was just like, okay, well, I'll sign the paper. And it made me so fucking mad. It made me so fucking angry because it just went to show how fucking petty she was. And it justified the scary idea in my mind that she genuinely didn't like me and subconsciously turned the class against me and essentially made it like the worst fucking class of my first half of high school. Fuck you, Paige. I hate you so much. Oh my god. I said earlier that I just disliked you. No, you're a fucking demon. You ruined me. And now I'd be willing to bet that I'm probably the most successful person to come out of that stupid fucking class. But goddamn, fuck you, Paige, I hate you. God, I'm so mad all of a sudden. I wasn't planning on getting this goddamn heated, but like, when you look at someone who, like, you let, like, shit all over you and step on your fucking head, like, and just be like, okay, yeah, I'll take it, it's fine. And then you, like, look at it years later and realize how shitty they were? God, it fucking steams me up. Fuck. Anyway, like, comment, favorite, and I'll suck your dick.